Okay. Hi, everyone. Good day, and welcome to the fourth episode of Community Corner here at the lovely National Museum. It's a beautiful day today. And on this special day, we'd also like to wish all the lovely mothers around Papua New Guinea a happy Mother's Day and happy celebrations to you and your families. We have a very important and special topic for today, and it's on mental health. So joining us this morning, we have Kinime Daniel, a senior counseling coordinator with One Talk Counseling Helpim Lain. And we also have David from NewNet on my right. So David will also be sharing a personal experience about his knowledge of people that he's come into contact with on mental health and the behavior trend and what can be done to help and support and restore people and the importance of it and why we should not ignore mental health and people experiencing mental health in our workplace, in our communities, our church, in our sports club, and in our society. So thank you so much for joining us. Our session should take about an hour, so we welcome you viewers out there to join us. And please sit in. You might learn something very important today that will help you and your family and friends in the long run. So I'll take this moment to now warmly welcome, and I'll hand over the mic to Kinime to please take us through understanding what is mental health, why it is important, what are the signs, what can be done about it, and what should people do when they see and recognize such things happening to those that are dear to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Zohra. This is a very good opportunity to even talk more about what is mental health and how we could help our general population who are facing or would like to get help through mental health. I would also like to talk more about the service of One Talk Counseling Helpim Lain and how it had helped a lot of people who are experiencing mental health in Papua New Guinea. Child Fund PNG has been working with partnership with Family and Sexual Violence Committee in establishing One Talk Counseling Helpim Lain in response to the high level of violence in PNG and need for more support and services. Funding support was provided from New Zealand Aid, and the One Talk Counseling Helpim Lain was a first ever national toll-free line that responded to crisis counseling and had provided safety planning, suicide interventions, and referral to support services for people who are experiencing stress, crisis, safety, and especially for survivors of gender-based violence in Papua New Guinea. In response to COVID-2, Helpline has expanded its service to 24-hour services and supported children and parents experiencing psychosocial distress from the normal day-to-day activity they had done or received. Funding support was from, we would also want to just acknowledge the funding supports that had given to help the general population of Papua New Guinea from UNICEF and UN Women as well. Just to touch, before I go on to mental health, just want to briefly give a view of what is Helpline or One Talk Counseling and how you would access and what it has done since it has operated in Papua New Guinea. So since the operation in Papua New Guinea 2015, up until current, we have reached over 70,000 people calling and seeking assistance. This service is a telephone counseling service and it's free. You can call in anytime, anyway, wherever you are in Papua New Guinea, as long as you have coverage of Digicel, and it's costless. Referral information, we provide telephone counseling, referral, and information to callers. Information is very vital. When people are very informed, they seek to sort the services that is available from the provinces or within the area that they are. The operation of the helpline is 24-hour service and throughout all provinces in Papua New Guinea. we have professionally trained counselors who are there for 24 hours. The service that we provide is suicide intervention, risk assessment, safety planning for survivors. Helpline service we have professional counselors who are very trained and equipped to respond to social issues, especially and including counseling, which mental health is one of the main things that is needed to provide. I'll just briefly talk about what is mental health. We would be asking a question, what is mental health? And some of us do not really understand what is mental health. Mental health is a state of well-being of a person in which individuals realize his or her own abilities and can cope with normal stress of life, can work productively, effectively, and can contribute to their community. This definition is from the World Health Organization. So in a way, mental health conditions can include anxiety, depression, and can lead to suicide. Like when depression or stress, you can seek help from a counselor or other medical health professionals to provide mental health and psychological support. This means any type of support that aims to protect or promote social cycle services and prevent or treatment mental illness condition. Why mental health is very, very important. It is important that we are aware of the stress and depression that then we can help to manage our stress and depression. In order to be mentally healthy and living, we have to understand our mental health capacity. And this is very, very important because we've helped a lot of people who have called the helpline regarding our stress. And when we are stressed and when we feel that we are not making firm decisions, this does not mean that we cannot sought for help. We really have to sought for help. And there are people and professionals out there who really wants to help us. So what are some of the risk factors in terms of the mental health? We are just looking at the mental health risk factors. Some of it are family history of mental health problems, adverse or negative life events, or some trauma, or chronic mental conditions, use of alcohol and drug. And in PNG, we can see that every day, most people tend to use more alcohol and drugs in terms of coping with their mental health and stress, which sometimes this can affect them in a longer term. So we feel that, we have to promote and we need to do more awareness on such effects on people. So the long-term effect on people in terms of their mental health is sometimes people with mental health problems can find it difficult to care for themselves, or when it is managed properly or it is not managed properly, can cope with their daily tasks and likely to unemployment. When they are not, their mental health capacity is not well enough, they cannot find a good employment, they cannot properly manage their home, and this can lead to poor health conditions and poor looking at things. And most of the societies out there we see, they're taking drugs or doing other things makes them feel better because they think that there is no services out there who can help them to manage their stress, anxiety, or any financial issues or any issues in their home. Then they tend to other things that make them feel that this is the way going throughout. So some of the things that we really do in terms of providing service to people who call the Kaunseling Helpim Lain, we see that it's really important to help their mental capacity to, look at their ways of how they can address their issues in a proper way. In talking about their issues in a home, there's some of the healthy ways that they can talk about their issues instead of looking at other ways and harming themselves. So some of the services that are existing out there in Papua New Guinea that we can get help in terms of mental health, counseling services are most important for us to seek out in terms of counseling. And Wanto Counseling is one of them. We do have other counseling services provided by churches like Catholic Family Life And we have a lot of counseling services. But if you want to learn more about these counseling services and how to access them and get help, Wanto Kaunseling Helpim Lain is a free service where you can call and get more information about how you can help yourself in terms of mental health. Also, we do have mental health support from the hospital, mental health and the psychiatrist, and that is the most important way to help families. And one thing that we normally see is when our people, in terms of mental health, we tend to discriminate more, and we tend to say that, oh, these people are long, and they're not, in the good state of their mind. And this might lead or help them to more in depression and withdrawal from their community and families. And this is a very important trend, and we've seen that it is very important that they need family support and care. So the more we make awareness and involve the civil society, the government, the families, and the communities to do more work on the the awareness in terms of helping them to see that mental health can be done to anyone, and we need to work together to help each other. Thank you, and any questions, we will be around to assist.
Thank you, Kinime. If David has any questions, please feel free to jump in. I'll be happy to share the mic. I have a question. As you were talking, I was thinking over the how many years has Wanto Kaunseling Lain been operating now?
Since 2015 to 2021 now, it's almost 6 years of its operation.
I see. So from the calls coming in, what are the top 3 issues that callers call in for counseling, that they bring forward to the team's attention? What are the top 3?
Thank you. That's a very good question. And we've seen that a lot of people calling in for the Wanto Kaunseling Helpim Lain intimate partner violence. It's really is a big concern and issue in the country. Most women who are calling for intimate partner violence, and also information on how to help themselves. We've seen a huge number calling in. I want to get advice. I don't know how to look after my family. I'm in this situation, so it's very important to help them learn how they can cope with day-to-day life.
Thank you. And what would be the second most popular and the third issue that they call in for, apart from intimate partner violence?
We've seen that a lot of call in family violence, not from their partner, but from their family, lead to drug and alcohol, lead to other social issues, leading to cultural norms, and that so violence from generally from their own family in the hands of their brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. Yeah.
Thank you. Can you also share with us the different specialities that the counselors have in responding to these different issues that come forward? I remember you mentioned something about suicide, and then now family violence, intimate partner violence, alcohol and drug abuse. Can you confirm with us the capacity of the counselors there that are able to deal with different issues that could give our audience out there some comfort and confidence to come forward should they see their friends or family or colleagues going through such?
Yes, a lot of our counselors had gone through professional trainings and well equipped in terms of providing suicide intervention, crisis intervention to people. The service line is basically for crisis intervention in terms of people who are having crisis, and the counselors are trained. But also we're looking at referring. We have a very good partnership and relationship with our stakeholders and other partners who provide services, and we make good referrals to them. we do have our limit in terms of providing service, but the first point is we want to ensure that the clients or the people who are calling the service had to be well informed of what services they would want to receive and what situation they are in currently when they are calling. So that's the very important thing, that they should know that when you are calling, we have the confidence to assess the situation, to do proper risk assessment, and then to well inform them of what they are going through and how they could get support.
I see. I have another question, just thinking about which category of people call the most. So do we have sort of like, is it like men, women, adult men, women, children, youths? How would you arrange that? According to the statistics, do you have the number of callers?
Yes, we have interestingly seen that most callers to the helpline are men, because they feel the comfort of calling from a phone where they could not access service, but that does not limit anyone from calling in. We've seen that a lot of callers calling in are youth age, from the range of 26, 25, going towards 40, which they're in the active, in the young couple active age. We see that, and it's really important that this group of people are calling in to get more help in terms of their relationship issues. So yes, one thing that I didn't mention was the relationship issue is a very big number that calls the helpline to learn about how they could really manage their relationship and ensure to keep their relationship.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, David, you might have a question, or do you?
I don't know. My question is very open-ended, so I don't even know whether I should ask it. I guess my question is that, these people that call in, I'm trying to, in my mind, fathom the kind of everyday lifestyle that they have. And, the people that are closest to them that they are usually supposed to go to with these questions are the same ones that are oppressing and suppressing them, And how does that conversation even start when they ring in and say, oh, it's my dad, it's my mother, it's my sister, it's my brother that are doing these things to me? How does the level of trust begin to be started with a number on a phone, on a poster, And it's amazing the work that you guys do, because you use that avenue to connect with someone that just is disconnected, so disconnected.
Yeah, thank you, David. That's a good compliment as well to the service that we provide, and that's very true. It's really challenging in terms of connecting and then building that trust at the very moment that someone called, because they've missed that trust from their friends or their families, or the one that they say that I love the most. And it's true, it's quite challenging for us.
Could I also ask the next question of how you and your team handle your own mental resilience? Because you provide this service to, like, you put the phone down after having a half an hour, 45-minute conversation that's devastating, and then the phone rings again and you pick it up and you start again. And over time, I would just imagine, like, I don't have the mental strength, I can tell you now, to do the work that you guys do, which is a testament to the incredible value that you are providing for people all over this country. How do you and the team deal with your own mental resilience?
Yes, thank you. That's a very good question, and this can also help others out there. That helping ourselves is the most important thing in terms of our own mental health and well-being prior to assisting the survivors or our family. Self-care is the most thing. We do have a process and guidelines because it's a counseling telephone service. We do a lot of activities that helps staff as well. So self-care is really important, at looking after yourself. What are the things that we do in terms of looking after ourselves? And it's quite challenging as individuals. It's differ in terms of looking out for ourselves. But in the organizational level, we have a very good structured way of looking after the staff in terms, because we understand the issues and the stress it might bring in terms of working with the survivors or people with mental health issues. So yeah, we have a lot of activities looking after staffs and their well-being. Yes, it's a very close team.
Sorry, I've got one last question. Things like, family safety, like things like, domestic violence, are often described as a cycle where, the abused becomes the abuser. My question is, do you have any, or do you capture any data on, for example, a child that rings in and says, I am feeling this way, these things are happening and manifesting in my life? Do you have any way to almost query that child's parents and have and start dialogue with their parents so that you can understand the inherited values that get passed down? I mean, the angle that I'm coming from here is, as parents, we need to realize that our external words become our children's internal thoughts.
Yeah, David, that's really true. It's quite challenging working with children, but also positive parenting is another positive way of helping and looking at parents, and we want to foster that too. And also we have some services for children like the Pikinini Watch and other, but we really advocate, but direct service for children is limited in our country, and we would like to enforce on the government to really ensure that we have such services for children in terms of we can provide the psychological support, but in terms of the ongoing, it's really a challenge at the moment.
How hard is it of a barrier to tackle the social stigma that follows mental health around?
Yes, David, that's really still a challenge because it's still out there. The stigma is really high, as we can see from our day-to-day living, that a child with, drug, tend to drug, people just say that he's a drug body, and that's it. That's still a stigma, we can say that.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, we're not looking at any way of helping that child. We just said he's a drug body, or he's an alcoholic, or he's a violent person. So, of course, there are services out there, but the stigma is still high.
Yeah,
we need a lot of awareness to make.
This is where I understand some of that shame, that perceived shame can be upon a family, and that might discourage a parent to accompany their child to sessions or to call and have that dialogue, because once that interaction with the helpline is done, this child still now has to navigate their entire life with the same interpersonal relationships that they have. So thank you very much.
Yeah, just to add on that, David, that's true. We provided psychological support to the children and the carer at that time, but the lifespan, they have to go through a proper withdrawal services or reintegration and continue. So such service is not really available in the country.
Very important point there, David, and some very important questions that he has brought out to help us look more in insight into what counseling is really about. And it doesn't stop at putting the phone down. It is understanding the advices that have come through and making it, like if it's parents and children, making it our personal decision to every day want to fix our speech, every day want to do the right thing and to change a harmful behavior that we have been exerting onto our children or our spouse or a family member that has been causing them emotional and psychological harm. It's about the intent and the willingness to every day want to change and do that consistently and continuously. So I think it is important that the call to get psychological support is the daily thing. It's like how we drink water every day. It's how we take our food every day. Or when we get sick and we are prescribed a medication over the counter and we go to the pharmacy and we purchase, and we are told to take that pill like 5 times a day, or we're told to take the pill 3 times a day over a period of 5 days. It's like that. And once we get that advice and information and support over the telephone, it's like we now have to write it on a piece of paper, put it on the wall somewhere, and try to practice that every day intentionally and continuously until we start seeing the positive signs in the family home and in the life of the people that we love and care about. One last question before we move over to David. Now, David's got an interesting story to share with us. And I'd just like to know, like over the 5 to 6 years now that the service has been operating, how many of your clients have completed the full length of the counseling support and have not dropped halfway?
It's quite interesting as we don't have real evidence data to show that. As we call over the phone and we do follow-ups, and we want to ensure that they get the service, but to really see the impact is because we have a phone service, we can't really give that data for completing. But yes, we only do referral to services, and yeah, we do that. But to really go back and check on the impact, I think we need to have services available on the ground, can give a clear impact on how they've closed the cases and that, or maybe a research or study would really say that.
Thank you, wonderful. So thank you so much, Kinime. I'll now hand the mic over to David to talk to us about his experience and what he's seen and observed around mental health and his word and advice to our audience out there. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much. If you could please pass her my card. So I would love to come around and help you build that data, and that's my business card. I run a small to medium enterprise called NewNet. We do education technology, but we'd love to come around and see if we can help add value in any way. So please email me. So Zohra and I met when she came into NewNet to help us with our child protection policy and to give my entire team training on how to work with children. And there was a moment in the workshop where she asked us all she gave us all balloons, and we blew up these balloons and we tied them, and she gave us markers and she said, draw your favorite childhood memory on this balloon. And this sent me through a cascade of my entire life journey as a child. And it's fitting that it's Mother's Day because my most fondest memory was playing a game with my mom. There was this a little fish game where these magnetic fish would swim around in this pond, and you had these tiny little fishing rods, and you would try and catch the most fish. And being the mom she is, she would always let me win. And I realized that our interpersonal relationship with our parents and with our siblings, these are the foundations of our ability to operate as human beings when we are then later introduced into society, or we go to school and we build friendships and we make enemies and we navigate through our lives. And most recently, there's been we've ran a NewNet internship program in the office, and one of our interns has a friend that committed suicide recently, and this is the one in Alatau in Milne. And as a team, we decided that we needed to do something about that. So we embarked on the process of creating a 45-minute documentary on mental health and suicide prevention. And in order to understand that, I met with a psychiatrist and a doctor out at the Port Moresby General Hospital. And we sat around a table at the Hilton, and I told him, hey, this is what we're trying to do. We want to produce this content. And the doctor looked me dead in the eye and said, mate, you have to do this. A 9-year-old came into my clinic with a swollen head, front to back. And after we stabilized him, we said, how did this happen? He said, oh, my friends dared me to commit suicide. And that took me aback a little, because these are stories you will hear every day. And it, for me, my problems manifest in different ways in my life. I have never been exposed to the thought process that there is that child's reality. There is a 9-year-old in our country, in Port Moresby, And his reality is that his life has gotten to a point where his friends can suggest to him to commit suicide, and he actually attempted it. And I think that sent me down on a spiral of trying to understand the inner weavings of every variable and factor that affects a child's ability to be in a position where they can self-harm at such a young age, and that reminded me of my own thoughts of self-harm, because when I was in grade 6, my parents' relationship and marriage started to get very rocky, and my mom was around sometimes, and she left and came back a couple of times, and my parents were trying to figure things out. But when they divorced around grade 6, I told my grade 6 teacher that I wanted to commit suicide, and she pulled me aside and said, these are thoughts that you are having because you don't understand things, and I can help you understand some things, but I want to call your dad in and we need to have a conversation. So she called my dad, and my dad rushed to the school. The three of us sat down on a table in my classroom, and my teacher looked at my dad and said, "Hey, do you hug your son?" And my dad said, "No, I don't." It's like, "Do you kiss your son?" And my dad said, "No, I don't." And then my teacher said, from today, tomorrow morning, I want you to wake up, I want you to kiss your son, tell him you love him, and give him a big hug. And I kid you not, I have not missed a kiss or a hug since that day. And that's when I realized that my mental resilience that I have today, I have not had a single self-harm thought, I realized that mental resilience I was able to build because my dad now was bringing me up in an environment where I was shown love every day, and I think that we need to realize as parents that, providing food putting food on the table and and having a shelter over the family and having clothes to wear are all amazing things and things that we need. I mean, this is the baseline of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but we need to also realize that you have to be emotionally available for your children, and that's something that we've struggled so hard with in our societies, and especially with men. It's no wonder. I mean, that was the one statistic of everything you've said today that didn't surprise me. I'm not surprised that it's men that ring and ask for help on this helpline, because we are seen as society as the breadwinners, and you're supposed to go out and just be you. It's a man to provide for, that's a man's role to provide for the household. And while this is, it's a very old way of thinking, and it leads to, the extreme of that is toxic masculinity. You know what I mean? There's a balance in everything, right? But it's understanding that out of all my friends in all of my circles, there are probably only one or two men that I can call up and say, "Hey bro, I feel like shit, can we talk?" And I think that what we need to realize in our societies is that we can counsel each other. We can be emotionally available for each other. When your friends message you and say, "Hey, Meri Blumiyosem, I just need to talk about this," it's like, bro, come around, let's have a conversation, We talked about abuse. So we talked about abuse in terms of drugs and alcohol. I was saying earlier when I first came, I don't believe that there are any bad drugs. It is your relationship with those drugs that allow you to build a very unhealthy situation, In America, medical marijuana is used to alleviate arthritis patients, and it's a brilliant drug when used in the right way. But how do we use it here? These children use it as a form of escapism, and they use it to escape their problems. It's the same thing that we do with alcohol. We drink so much alcohol so that we don't have to process in our minds our daily realities. It's the reality of waking up saying, "Oh, I've got a job where I'm not appreciated and I'm not valued and I'm not finding purpose." I come home and I have a partner that's abusive and yells at me and thinks that I'm worthless. I have children that I can't provide for. And, all of these things compound to create a solution that is ripe for problems with mental health. And there are so many consecutive families that I have met, especially in this time where we have a global pandemic, where people are spending more time at home. They're not, we are used to social settings. I mean, our culture is built around sharing time with our families and friends. We just use things like food to do it, I mean, food is the enabler for us to all catch up and have a good conversation. And I think that, with that being stripped away now, there are certain chemicals our minds are not getting. We talked about oxytocin, and like the oxytocin release that you get, the love drug that you get when you hug someone and someone tells you that you are worth something. And, listening to the kind of things that, like, when I spoke to these doctors, I was devastated. I realized that our problems in Papua New Guinea are manifesting in very, very scary ways because of the year-on-year complacency from the decisions we have made at the top of our leadership as a country, and we have glorified so many of the wrong things. We have pumped our funding and money as a country into so many wrong things that, and even most recently the announcements of how mental health is seen as, like the way departments look at mental health, where that needs to change, and it needs to change soon. But one thing I realize is that, there are so many problems that we have, and, majority of these I do not know how to solve. But what I do know is that our people need a break from the exploitation that they get every day. We have systems that are supposed to be serving us that are instead exploiting us. And everyone I have a conversation with, when I lead with that, it opens a channel for them to pour out of themselves the day-to-day struggles of what it's like to live in this country, and it feels like it's getting worse. Like, I am a hopeful person, but I can't not look around and be hurt by the things that I see. And if it's helplines like these that I can call when I feel in my personal life like things just aren't adding up and it is all dark, So that's, I guess, what I wanted to share. Like, I since grade 6, I have received that love and that care, and that's when I realized that being emotionally available for your children will allow them to become the best humans that they can be, and we need generational change. I woke up one day, and when I realized that we truly need generational change, I started to try to understand the systems that we have and how we can change those systems, while realizing that we are the systems that we need to change. Like, I write a lot of lyrics in my spare time, and there was a lyric that I wrote the other day that's, we all just want to see a change, but we're not prepared to be the change. So that's basically my experience.
David, that was really wonderful. We do get a lot of callers from children who say that my parents is such and such, but to be frank and honest, we could provide support there for the child, but to get the parents involved and to refer a child to services quite hard. And having services and improving counseling service for children, school children, guidance and counseling in school is a very vital way in terms of that, but also for the children who are not going to school. That is another huge challenge for us. And we do get a lot of calls from suicide contemplation, suicide, already attempted suicide. And we do provide safety planning for suicide intervention. It's quite hard, but thank you for sharing. And this is a very important story for me to take as counselor. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, David. This is something that Pikinini Watch promoted last year. We actually had a full activity around it, and we called it the Hugging Spot. And I just quickly, while you were talking, just jumped onto Google and had a look here at www.mindchamps.org. And it says, what happens when you hug your child for 20 seconds? Number 1, it helps them to feel safe. Number 2, it helps them to feel smarter. It's a neutral stress buster. It promotes healthy self-esteem, how you see yourself. It helps in discipline. It teaches them to develop empathy, the way that they feel and the way they manage their own feelings and how they respond and react to other children or other people's feelings. It promotes better health, and it keeps both the parent or parents and the child happy. So in addition to that, scientific benefits for your child, hugging your child also creates a stronger bond with you as a parent. Hugs improve trust, reduce fear, and strengthen relationships. And these benefits are mutual. Giving and receiving physical affection is good for both you and your child. So, yeah, we got scientific evidence there. So it was a wonderful suggestion that your teacher did, and, really blessed to have in your life a teacher who would care enough to call your dad in and recognize that there's a serious problem here and that a conversation needs to be heard and that changes need to be made at home. And that needed to be brought to your dad's attention, and that changes had to be exercised on a daily basis. And your dad being that hero and champ to say, yes, I realize that in my parenting I need to step up and this is what I need to do, and it's the simplest thing that I need to do for my boy and I must do that. And when he did that, look at the wonderful change that it has made. You now are the owner of NewNet, and you are a blessing to other children in Papua New Guinea through the technical services that you provide, IT services for our young people and to other stakeholders who need that services. This is the change that can happen when us parents, when we take into consideration and value the hurt that our children are going through, and we make a decision and intend to fix that brokenness and to fill in that emotional gap and to give that emotional security that our children need so much. And it is so much more important and just as equally important as providing school fee and food on the table and clothes on their back and shelter. So it is a good message that I'm taking home as a mom as well. I got 3 children. So something that I was reminded again today, that I need to be making myself emotionally available for my 3 children and being able to, in the busyness of my schedule, in the busyness of cooking and coming home and fixing the house, I must tell them that I love them. I must hug them. I must be able to look them in the eye and give them a good compliment and kiss their forehead. It doesn't cost money. Okay, it's a 5-second or a 10-second that could make a huge difference in their lives. So thank you so much for sharing that, and we hope that our parents and our viewers out there, guardians and professionals who work directly or indirectly with children can take that on board and be mindful about and provide a safe environment where that can happen. So we are mending and creating a circle of care and emotional support and strength for our young people. And for the adults as well, we are really blessed to have One Talk Counseling Helpim Lain, and to the wonderful sponsors who are able to continuously see the value and to support that services for our men, women, and children. One point that I just like to take the opportunity to share with our viewers is that Pikinini Watch, apart from other development partners, does provide positive parenting. And if your church or school or organization or even a company needs positive parenting awareness or training, we are happy to do that. So our contact details will be shared towards the end of the session on the screen. So please feel free to let us know, because having the right tools, like Kinime has said, and David has shared more on a practical level, that having the right tools to correct the thinking and the brokenness and having that in a structured and guided way does bring restoration to oneself, does bring restoration to the family home and to the general output or quality of life. And putting your hand up and asking for help is nothing to be ashamed of. No one should ever feel ashamed of asking for help. Picking up the phone, talking to somebody and saying, no, I have a problem, please, I need your help. And that might be the best call that you have made in your entire life. That might be the best call that will change the quality of your health and the quality of your life. It will improve your family life, bring a lot of joy, happiness, purpose, laughter, progress, and wealth. Because when you are happy in your heart and mind, can you perform better at the workplace? Can you earn better for your family? Can you provide better for your family? So we really want to encourage our viewers out there that mental health is not something for us to be ignorant of, for us to drink away, for us to gossip away or fight away about. It is something for us to bring proper attention and quality service and access quality and free service available to fix and to improve our family life. I leave the floor open to any other questions or comments from either Kinime or David.
From me as a counselor providing service for the children, I think that it's a big need, and I would also echo on Joras to let's all ensure that our parents are providing the best for the children, as we would want to celebrate also the Mother's Day, that we want to be proud that we have been a good parent for our children and can enjoy this moment with our children. So yes, thank you, Dora. We would also want that training for our counselors, because it's very important for them to provide positive awareness to any callers in Papua New Guinea calling, that we think that we can reach the multitude. Thank you.
Wonderful, happy to hear it. David, do you have any final words for our audience?
No. Just to wish my mom a happy Mother's Day when she watches this. So a week from now when she sees this. But no, it's I think that my ending statement really is just to reach out. Like, I know it's hard, and I know it may feel at that point in time that no one wants to hear your story, or no one wants to be involved in your problems, and you might think that it's not worth it. Like, just reach out, like pick up the phone 715-08,000 and have a conversation, because that conversation can literally save your life if you're willing to have it.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. So thank you so much on behalf of the team here to Kinime and David for being present and for speaking to the topic about mental health to our audience out there. And we wish you all a happy Mother's Day. And please, like Mother Teresa says, and I want to finish with this quote, to change the world, go back home and love your families.